Rev up your engines for the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast with Big E. Proudly sponsored by Christensen Law, where bikers helping engine bikers is more than just a motto. It's our commitment to the biker community. Be sure to tune in and listen to the latest news and biker buzz. And for all your personal injury needs, be sure to contact the Christensen Law team at 248-900-9000. Welcome to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast, where the rubber meets the road and the tales of the ride unfold. I'm Big E, your guide on this two-wheeled adventure. Life is short, bikers, so let's get after it. Hey everybody, welcome to the podcast. So today in studio, I have Big Yeti with me.
All right.
And a very special guest from our sponsor, Christensen Law, Jeremy Knox.
Gentlemen, how are you today?
Good. Thanks for coming down.
Of course.
Thought this would be a good kickoff for the month of May, Motorcycle Awareness Month, to have one of the bright lawyers from Christensen Law come down and share some knowledge on some of the motorcycle stuff.
Absolutely.
Thanks for having me. So, I appreciate you guys having me down and drove in from the Traverse City area in this beautiful spring Michigan day, sunny and warmish. And
warmish.
Yeah, it's beautiful outside. And, I'm just glad to be here. So I appreciate you guys having me in.
Awesome. Yeah. You would argue the warmish because you rode down this morning and it was
bullshit on the warmness.
It was a bit cold.
Degrees on the bike this morning when I left. But it's warm now. So,
all right. So, how long have you been with Christensen Law?
So I'm about 2 years at Christensen Law. What I do is I'm the intake attorney there and pre-suit attorney. So we have a team that takes the calls, and what we do is we get the cases signed up, and we take care of them in a pre-suit fashion, meaning that what our job is to gather all the information, get the police report, the UD-10, get the medical records, get any witness statements, investigate, video, we put it all together, and then we get with the adjuster, the insurance adjuster, and we try to get the case resolved. And we have a very good resolution rate without having to file a lawsuit, which is important because you want to get things done as expeditiously as you can without going into a lawsuit, because once you go into a lawsuit, you get put on a court timeline, and that can be sometimes a year and a half, 2 years, depending on the complexity of the case. So to settle the case in the pre-suit area is actually beneficial, and it can be done expeditiously, and we make sure that the client's taken care of, make sure that the treatment plan is good for the client, make sure that they get the MRIs done, and make sure that any objective injuries are found in that area so we can maximize recovery of the case.
Right. Awesome. All right, so I came up with some questions, just to help maybe anybody out there that is inquiring, or you just never know.
A lot of people just don't know how weird the Michigan motorcycle insurance can be. So this is where somebody like Christensen Law, Jeremy, can come in and answer a lot of questions. Being a member of a BATE, an active member. We have our fight that we're doing, which is nonstop. But then there's also a lot of the common sense stuff that a lot of motorcyclists just don't know. They just hop on their bike. They think they have the insurance, and it's the same as it is in a vehicle or anything else. And it's not always necessarily that case. So having an expert in here to talk about this,
Exactly.
and really push the subject. I mean, it's awesome. We have Motorcycle Awareness Month in May, but it's a nonstop thing. I mean, everyone at all times should be aware of what's going on, because I was pretty dumb when I came into the motorcycle scene and not knowing anything about the behind the scenes stuff, and educated myself pretty quick in the last couple of years of just like not only the dangers of being on a bike, of course, which we all know, but the other stuff behind the scenes that we just, I was like, oh, that's a thing now,
Right.
So this is a great opportunity to get the word out there, and I can't think of anyone better than Christensen Law to come in here and do this for us.
Right. So let's start off with my first question. Can you explain Michigan helmet laws and how they may affect motorcycle riders?
Sure. So there's a Michigan vehicle code, and essentially an individual operating a motorcycle is required to wear a helmet unless they carry at least $20,000 of medical benefits coverage. Additionally, a motorcyclist must have at least $20,000 of medical benefits for each rider choosing not to wear a helmet with them as well, unless the rider carries their own medical benefits coverage of at least $20,000. So, there's some hoops that you need to jump through to make sure that you can do so. But again, the code is confusing in that you read it and it's got a bunch of hoops to jump through. But essentially, you have to just make sure that when you get your coverage, you talk to your insurance agent, and then obviously, one of the things I would highly recommend is when you do get insurance on your bike and you're talking to your agent, I would highly recommend calling an attorney, if not us, but you can call us at 248-900-9000 and talk to me. And what I'll do is I'll actually review your policy. I'll go through everything and make sure that you're covered. Additionally, with regard to the helmet, you have to carry that medical coverage, but you have to actually carry on a bike in Michigan. The minimum requirement is $50,000 in liability insurance for a person, and up to $100,000. So it's called a 5100 policy. And what that means is if there's several people injured, you have to be insured for liability reasons up to $100,000. So if one person's injured in the accident, then $50,000 is their ultimate recovery, and so you're covered, insulated up to $50,000. That's what your insurance would do. If there's three people injured, they would have to split the 100. Let's hope that's never an issue for anyone, but that's what the minimum requirement is. Now, for property for your bike, you have to have $10,000 in property damage. Now, the problem we run into with that is there's a lot of add-ons to bikes that bump that number of 10,000 up significantly higher. So you want to make sure that you have enough property coverage on your bike just so you can get everything everything covered if you were in an accident. But there's some other recommendations with regard to insurance on top of that. I would say insurance is one of those things you don't necessarily like to do, and you don't really want it until you actually need it. So the thought is I would recommend if you can bump up to like $250,000, $500,000, meaning that you would be insulated with insurance money up to about $250,000 per person and $500,000 in total. I think that's a really good idea. It may not cost that much more per month, but the problem is that an agent's not always going to tell you that, because they only make $6-7 more per month, but ideally you're going to be insulated with insurance money of $250,000 per individual and $500,000 per accident, which is really what you should carry on an auto. So I think the same could apply to a motorcycle, and I think that's just something that you have to consider. So I would definitely look at the minimum is 5,100, but I would say if you can go to 250, 500, it's highly recommended. And with regard to the property, I mean, that's up to you. But I would say that 20, 30, if you can get more in property damage is a good idea. Additionally, I would recommend that you get something called uninsured motorist and underinsured motorist coverage. What this is if you get into an accident and the other driver has no insurance, which, it's like 1 out of 4 or something. It's a really high number of people driving without insurance. If you were to get hit by somebody and they were at fault and they have no insurance, good luck on recovering unless, the guy's name is Bill Gates. You're not going to be able to get anything out of that person. So if you have what's called uninsured motorist coverage, what that does is you can look to your own policy to cover your injuries. And so you can get a policy of like, 250,000, 500,000. And then that way, if you ever got injured and the other person didn't have, the at-fault driver didn't have insurance, you can look to somewhere to get you compensated for your pain and suffering. There's also something called underinsured motorist coverage. So in Michigan, all drivers of automobiles are supposed to carry 250,000 per individual in coverage, but unfortunately, and I don't want to get political, but Michigan thought it was a good idea to allow people to bump down to like as low as 50,000.
Right.
So, everybody knows that if you get hit on a motorcycle, 50,000 is not going to compensate you. You're going to get pretty hurt. And so what you want to carry is something called underinsured motorist. So if that at-fault driver happens to have a low policy of like 50, and you have 250,000, you can actually get another $200,000 on top of that initial 50. So that would assist you greatly. So we recommend UM and UIM coverage. We also recommend that you have additional medical benefits. So in Michigan, when a person gets into an accident on a motorcycle, you actually look to the driver, the at-fault driver in the auto that caused the accident. You look to their insurance coverage. So again, not to get political, but Michigan thought it would be a good idea to cap out medical benefits. So if they have a capped policy of $250,000 in just medical benefits, and a person has to get airlifted and is in the hospital for a month and a half, that you've just spent every dime of that $250,000 in medical benefits. So what I would recommend is that you get additional medical benefits, and it can be purchased in increments of $5,000. So, you can bump up your medical benefits, in increments of $5,000. And the person that sells you the insurance, the agent, doesn't always tell you these things. So again, what I would recommend you do is when you get the information on the policy that you're getting, or even if you already have a policy, you just want to, spot check it and run it, through another opinion, call our office, ask for me, and I'll walk you through it. I'll say, okay, what is the PIP coverage? The personal injury protection coverage, which is your medicals. What is your liability, which means that, what are you covered for if you were to cause an accident? Do you have uninsured motorists? Do you have underinsured motorist coverage? And those are things that I would go through and spot check for you. So if you want to call the office, 248-900-9000 and ask for Jeremy, I'd be happy to walk you through it and see how you did.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm learning stuff.
I'm writing stuff down as it's going, so I'm going to be giving
sorry about that, guys.
No, you're doing great,
my
man.
policy's sitting out on the table, actually.
Yeah, I'm going to call Jeremy here and have him review my policy for me.
Yeah, well, let's do it. We'll go over it.
So you need to carry because I actually looked into the extra coverage for riding without a helmet, and it almost doubled my policy, the cost of my policy.
That's one thing I wanted to ask. So if, say you're a rider without a helmet, which I usually am up until this year, I made a promise to my little one I had my helmet on, but and I get in an accident, does that change? So say on my insurance, I tell them I'm wearing a helmet, but I'm not wearing a helmet, and I get in an accident. What does that do to affect me?
Well, I'd read your policy closely because
Okay.
if you make a misstep, they may decide not to insure you.
Right. Okay.
Right.
And it's not like I can plug in that into a machine and pump out an answer.
Sure.
It's really adjuster driven.
Mm-hmm.
It's it's the insurance company, what they decide to do. But I mean, I've seen policies, go on a no pay because the motorcycle was parked at a different residence. And they didn't change the residence. One thing you have to remember: insurance companies don't make money by paying out on claims. They make money by taking your premium and not paying out on the claim. So
right. So I'm just going to throw this out. They're probably looking for a reason to not pay out that claim.
Yeah.
So if you're not wearing a helmet and you should be wearing a helmet, chances are they're going to bonk you, I would bet.
Absolutely.
So insurance adjusters, their first thing is they will look at a claim and go, how do we not pay on this? Mm-hmm. And if they can find a reason, they may do it. Now, it doesn't happen all the time where it gets to that place, but I would say that if they have a reason and they don't have to pay they might take it. And it can cause all kinds of problems. So, again, I would call the office. I would give me a call. I'm happy to talk you through it. But I think, you got to read the fine print. It's like that Willy Wonka contract,
Yeah,
right.
Paragraph 75, subsection D, subsection 2A, C, you get nothing, I mean, it's like.
That's where people like you come in and take care of it. This is,
right.
Just having that option to review a policy, make sure you're in the right spot to protect yourself, and your loved ones is important.
Yeah, and we do. I mean, look, we will fight, that's so I'm in the pre-suit intake. So I've done this, going on, 23, 24 years. And I tried all kinds of cases, and I was a litigator for a long time. And since being at Christensen Law, I'm in the pre-suit department. But if we go to that next level, we have kick-ass attorneys. And these guys are street fighters. These guys are tough. Dave Christensen, Sarah Kime. I mean, these guys hit for multi-million-dollar verdicts. And when an insurance company plays games, they have no problem, but I'm the first guy you'll see. I'm the first guy. It's like, it's what's that movie where it's like, I'm the nice one. You want to deal with me.
Right.
You don't want to deal with that guy. Because the next level, and we got, Dustin Hoff, Nora Hanna, Brandon Abro. We got a new guy, Michael, that's coming in. I mean, these are
some heavy hitters,
battle tested attorneys. I mean, these guys hit for millions of dollars. And so it's nice when they see me and I go, look, I'm the nice guy. You want to deal with me first.
Right.
And then if I can't get it done, well, now you got to talk to that guy. And so, that's sort of how we operate right now. And it's, it helps resolve cases, because if you try cases and you have a track record, the adjusters know that. They keep dossiers on the attorneys, and they know what attorneys will try a case.
Right.
And, that's the beautiful thing, is it makes my job easier, because I can just go, well, look, if you're not going to pay full policy on this, we're going to get full policy, attorney fees, costs, and interest by the time this is done. And, I'm going to remember this conversation. I told you so. And so it gives you leverage, and it's nice. And so it does make my job real easy.
Nice.
Cool. All right. So on to my next question. You want to ask it?
Yeah. So, you kind of went over a little bit of this, but how does Michigan handle motorcycle accidents and insurance claims? And is it the same as it would be like in my truck or in an automobile?
So motorcycles are different. Like an auto policy there's two. So when you're in an auto and you get into an accident with an auto, everyone looks to their own insurance for their medical benefits. It's called PIP, personal injury protection benefits. Now, there's also things called household replacement services. There's attendant care, there's wage loss up to 3 years, and there's medical mileage. So those are the benefits that you get through your auto policy. Okay. Now, what I'd recommend, if, we'll get into the motorcycles, how it works, but first I just want to build the foundation for, why, motorcycles are different. So with autos, get unlimited benefits, PIP benefits. Don't cap out and save a few dollars, because you want to have unlimited benefits. Again, I don't want to get political, but Michigan thought it'd be a good idea to cap out your benefits. And I mean, you can even opt out of PIP altogether if you have qualifying Medicare insurance, which, these agents don't always know what is a qualifying insurance. So they'll say, okay, you opted out, we're going to save you money. We're going to say, it's like $100 a month for insurance,
right,
where it could be $1,000. So, sign up and do it. And then they sign you up, and guess what? You find out after you get into an accident that you don't have the qualifying insurance. And then your Medicare saying, nope, not it, because we're not qualifying insurance. And your auto insurance goes, well, not it, because you opted out. So now you have a claim against the the broker that sold you the insurance for errors at admissions. And then you got to sue your insurance company to get your benefits. So definitely, you want to make sure you have unlimited benefits. Opt out if you want to, but again, call us. Let me see if you have the proper insurance before you do that, because you don't want to find out after an accident that you're not going to get your bills paid. So when you get into an accident, everyone looks to their own insurance for those benefits. Now, where you can sue the at-fault driver is you have to have an at-fault driver, of course, and you have to have a threshold injury, and I can get into that if you want. But essentially, that's the pain and suffering money. That's where you sue them, and then their insurance kicks in for their liability. Now, a motorcycle is different. If you're riding a motorcycle and you get hit by an auto, you actually look to their policy. So if they have unlimited PIP benefits, great. But if they capped out or they opted out, that's where it gets complicated. So what do? Well, if they have unlimited PIP benefits, you're good. If they have a cap policy of $250, like I talked about, someone injured in a motorcycle accident, it can be really bad. I mean, it can be catastrophic. So, airlifting, ambulance, months in the hospital, months of rehab, $250,000. Anyone's seen a medical bill, it knows that's nothing.
Right.
That could be gone in 3 days. So you want to make sure, like going back to like I talked about, bump up your medicals if you can on your own insurance and get it there. Now, the other thing that's kind of messed up too is, let's say you're in a motorcycle and a person's injured by an auto and the at-fault driver, where the medical bills, there's a shortfall. Let's say there's a cap policy $250, you have $500,000 in bills, and you have no other insurance. That $250,000, they're going to want to take it out of your pain and suffering money.
Okay.
So you don't want that.
No.
right.
No. And the worst part about it is the people that get into that $500,000, medical bill range are really hurt. And, so let's say the person has the standard $250,000 in just, in liability insurance. I mean, I have to tell a client sometimes, $250,000 is all the insurance money there is. And guess what? Now I have to pay medical bills out of this because, the great state of Michigan thought that was a good idea to do this and cap out things.
Right.
So, I mean, I've had to tell people, I have to give them the bad news. Now, can you go above the policy? People ask all the time, yeah, if they're collectible. But anybody that knows, you can't really get their property. You can try to put a lien on it, but, the court's not going to force someone to sell their house and take them out of the house because then they become wards of the state and the state has to pay for them. So, the court, there's protections for that. And, what are you going to do? Garnish their wages,
Right.
forever? I mean,
Exactly.
Like I tell people, we can get a above judgment verdict, but we're going to put, the order on the wall, and it's like a certificate at that point. It's worthless. So
Makes sense. I mean, it's sad that we're in that position here in Michigan to do that. Hopefully, without getting political, we can get that fight won and changed.
Yeah, and I don't think it was intentional. I think that it just wasn't realized how it would play out, and unfortunately, the most catastrophically injured people are the ones that took the hit.
Right.
And so that's the sad part about it. The little small potatoes accidents. I'm not minimizing injuries, but let's say road rash. Person goes back to work in a week. Mm-hmm. There's value to that case, and $250,000 would be enough.
Right.
And so you're okay there, but it's the people that, lose a limb, paralysis, head injuries. I mean, 250,000, for those injuries, and then, capping out at 250,000 for their medicals, it's a joke.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree.
So what steps should a motorcycle rider take if they get involved in a traffic accident in Michigan?
You say an accident or
an accident? Well, we'll go with an accident.
Okay. Yeah. So if someone's in an accident, the first thing they should do is call the police. You need to make a police report. A lot of insurances require it. So, I hear this story a lot. Oh, let's not call the police. Let's just everyone, I trust you. We'll just trade information. Don't do that. Just say, look, tell the other person, I'm sure you're a good guy, but I just want a police report. I need to do it for insurance reasons. You can always trade numbers and insurance with them and everything else. But yeah, get a police report. And it's called a UD-10. And what that does is it gives, kind of a basis for what happened. And what's important is fault. For my purposes as an attorney, I want to know who's at fault.
Mm-hmm.
Now, keep in mind, the police report is not actually admissible. Like, you can't say, well, I can prove who's at fault because I have this piece of paper. I mean, it's an out-of-court statement that's not brought into court. It's used to refresh recollection. But it's not like the be all end all. So a lot of people think, oh, I got a police report that says they're at fault, I win. Well, most likely. I mean, it's a good foundation for that, but
right.
It's not like that's the only proof you need. So get a police report. It'll have a little narrative in there. Have witnesses, and it'll have the date and the cars involved in the insurance and policies, and it helps us. So normally what someone would do is they call us and they say, I have an incident number, and then we'll get the police report, we'll pull it, and we'll kind of, call up the client at that point and say, okay, this is what the police report said. Do you agree? 9 times out of 10, the client says, yeah, that's what happened. And, no big deal. Sometimes, they'll say, well, they didn't get my side of the story right. And that's okay. Because like I said, it's not admissible. And you can do amended reports and they sometimes go on the station. And sometimes what happens is the person's so injured that the police don't get their side of the story. They just get the other side. And so if they're not, they're incapacitated, they're not awake, and they're in the hospital, they're, going through surgery, things like that. They don't know this. Police don't always get it. Now, if it's a catastrophic and the police are a good department, they'll wait until the person is, awake, and they'll ask some questions then. And I get those calls too from the hospital and say, should I talk to the police? Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, just if you remember what happened, tell them, because you definitely need to get your side on the record there. So yeah, first thing you do, get a police report. Second thing you do, call us.
Okay.
248-900-9000. The reason is, if you talk to an adjuster and you make any missteps, it can result in many problems down the line. So, for instance, they're going to ask you, how are you feeling? Now, I don't want to get into too much gender stuff, but most guys are going to, I'm fine. Like someone asked me how I'm doing today, I'm going to say, I'm fine. Really, my lower back's killing me.
Right.
But no one cares. So I'm not going to tell you. So point is, you're going to be scraped up. You're going to be bruised. You're going to be banged up. Who knows? I mean, you might have a herniated disc and you're just powering through. So you wanted to make sure you tell the adjuster, my back hurts. My neck hurts. I'm scraped up. I hit my head. I have headaches. Whatever's going on with you, tell the adjuster. Because if you tell the adjuster, I feel okay, they're going to write down, they feel okay. And then when you call us 3 days later and go, I can't get out of bed.
Right.
What do? I'll say, go get an MRI. Go see what's going on with your neck, your back, whatever issues you're having. Go get your brain scanned. I mean, it sounds like you might have a brain bleed if you can't see and and your head hurts. But meanwhile you've told the adjuster, I feel okay. So now the adjuster is going to say, well, I don't believe you. What did you call an attorney? And all of a sudden you're hurt. And because the injuries don't manifest themselves right away. Adrenaline kicks in, and I broke my arm years and years ago and just blew it off, and then I got an X-ray, 3 months later, and the doctor's like, your arm's broken. It's already healed. So, that's just what we do as people. We just power through and tough through things. But you got to be a kind of a colossal wimp after an accident if you want to recoup pain and suffering money, because you need to have evidence of an objective injury. It doesn't matter what I say, doesn't matter what you say. It has to be some, like on an EMG, on an MRI, on an X-ray. There has to be some type of objective evidence of the injury, and then you need a doctor to relate that injury to the accident. So back is a perfect example. I don't know anyone over the age of 30 doesn't have a bad back, or
Exactly.
their back hurts, or they wake up in the morning and go, why's my neck killing me? I didn't do anything. I mean, everyone's got these things. Now, the issue is you get into an accident and it's worse. It's called exacerbation. It made it worse. So that is compensable under Michigan law. If you exacerbate an injury, even if, you could be, surgical candidate before the accident. And if you get into an accident and you're more of a surgical candidate and it made it worse, that's compensable. Mm-hmm. So, now the auto has to cover this, this next surgery, because now it's, it's made worse from the accident. Now what's the auto company going to do? That's pre-existing. We're not paying that.
Yeah.
So you got to treat and have a doctor actually say and relate it to the accident. So before they could have had surgery, it would have been more of like an elective thing. And now they have to have surgery because they can't turn their neck now, and it's going to get worse. So you need to treat, you need to get that objective evidence of an injury. And MRIs are the gold standard. I tell everyone, if you go to your doctor and they won't script an MRI, call me, because you need to get an MRI. And I don't like to get involved in treatment, but there are treaters that are more conservative, and there are treaters that will say, go get an MRI. Doctors are just people. Every doctor's a little different. Mm-hmm. And the key is you got to find a doctor that knows auto accidents, because, giving someone a bunch of pills and saying, tough through it. If you have a lawsuit, or a potential lawsuit, that's a horrible plan, because now you have no objective injury. Like, you're just going to say, I just take a bunch of drugs now and I hope I'm okay.
Well, that's the thing. It's like, if you have a headache today, it could lead to an aneurysm tomorrow. You just never know what that injury could be down the road.
Yeah. Yeah. If you have a headache after an accident, you could have all kinds of things going on. Right. And if you don't get it checked out, I can't help you, because, I can't diagnose you. You can't diagnose you, but a doctor can.
Just having that paper trail for the potential of any issues with your insurance company or a lawsuit down the road,
So call the police, get a UD-10 police report, call us. And then, if you sign up with us, we'll take care of everything else. We'll gather all the information. Like I tell people, all you have to do is try to get better.
Right.
That's your job. My job is to make sure that if you don't get better, I can get you in the best position to get you compensated for your pain and suffering. That's my job.
Awesome.
Yeah, let's move on to the next one here. What about how can the motorcycle riders protect themselves legally in a case of an accident or a legal dispute in Michigan? And what if that accident or legal dispute happens out of state?
Well, so, along the same lines as the last thing, really, you just want to get a police report. Yep. That's going to protect you. That's, like I said, insurance companies are going to require that. And then, as far as you being, let's say that you're put at fault, we are not, criminal defense attorneys, but we do have referral partners. That we work hand in hand with, which can get the client, hooked up with and make sure that, they're protected. But, I'm trying to think, I don't have many cases where, our clients are dealing with any criminal issues. The ones that we get are, there's an at-fault driver and it's not our client. Mm-hmm. But we do get those calls, and when I do refer to a referral partner to assist them. Now, out of state, you avail the, it's like a conflict of laws. They have law school questions on this thing. It's like, it all depends. As a Michigan resident, I think you can elect PIP. But if you're in another state, I think you can elect their laws as well. But every state's a little different. I mean, Michigan is like one of the 3 no-fault states that are remaining.
Right.
But, it's like other states that we see, fault matters for the purposes of who's going to pay the medicals.
Right.
So it just depends on the state. But, what I would do is if you're a Michigan resident and you ride into Indiana and you get an accident in Indiana, we can still handle that matter if there's an at-fault driver. The medical part, what we would do is I would have to research and see, okay, in Indiana, fault matters for medicals. Can they elect their PIP coverage? And then what I would do is work through that and assist with that. And then if we have to get an Indiana attorney, we got an Indiana attorney that we would refer to, and they would handle the Indiana law part of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Very cool. Yeah. So definitely get a hold of Christensen Law.
Oh. Yeah, that's really Jeremy, the first step.
Yeah.
If it's not, obviously, that's my team. That's who I would go to. But get a lawyer, and don't just get any lawyer. Get somebody that actually does this, because every lawyer will say, "Oh yeah, I can help you," and you're going to end up in a bad spot, and you're going to be a year in, and nothing's going to get done. Your lawyer's not going to be available. All of a sudden, they're going to stop taking your call, and then they're going to blame you that you're being a pain. And
I totally had that happen.
It happens all the time. We get clients that are on their 3rd attorneys, and they call us and they go, "No one's ever told me what you just told me."
I had an attorney fire me.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was asking too many questions.
Wow.
Yeah, you'll never get that.
That was a work comp case, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, so here's the problem. Here's the problem with attorneys. Attorneys. I don't know how I want to say this. Attorneys are not always the nicest people to deal with. Now, some of the gruffest attorneys are great trial attorneys, and that's fine. But as far as customer service goes, like, the attorneys are not known to be, high on that level. So one thing I will say about Christensen Law, we pride ourselves on customer service. Dave Christensen harps on customer service like no other place I've ever seen, and it's good. And what it does is it sets the framework for me. So when I have a client call me asking a lot of questions, they're upset, they're just blaming me, I know they're hurt and they're pissed off because nothing's getting paid.
Right.
I get it. And, if I'm going to be the punching bag that day, I'm going to take it for what I need to. And I'm going to say, look, I agree with everything you're saying, and we're going to keep working on it. It's easy for me to say, be patient. I get it. They haven't paid your wage loss. You're dealing with an insurance company. Let me talk with our team. We may elevate this to a litigation team, and get your case filed. So we listen. And what we do is we take that information. We don't just go, "Oh, you don't know what you're doing. Don't bother me." We are here for you. That's what we do. So Our job is to make sure you're okay. So you can call and yell at me. It's fine. 248-900-9000. Call and yell at me. I understand. I get it. Look, I've been hurt too, and it sucks, and it's depressing, and it's painful, and if nothing's getting done quick, you call your attorney and go, "Hey, what's happening? Why is it not moving?" And if that attorney doesn't have a good answer for you, you are going to get pissed off. We're not on the job for sitting on cases. We don't make money by just piling cases. We get paid on results, and we get paid on being expeditious and getting top dollar on a case. Yeah. That's not the way to look at it, but the way to look at it is if you do a good job, if you stay on top of the file, if you hold the client's hand, if you keep them happy as you can keep them, the side effect and the end result is you make money.
Right.
So really it goes hand in hand. And so I focus on listening to the client. I focus on protecting the client. I focus on recovery for the client, and by doing that, I maximize recovery.
Right.
Client's happy, firm's happy, everyone's happy. So yeah, if you ever call a law office and they get pissed off because you're asking too many questions, that's not the lawyer for you.
Right.
Go to a different lawyer.
Perfect.
Yeah. All right. So on to the next one here. Can you provide guidance on how to handle interactions with law enforcement while riding a motorcycle in Michigan?
Yeah, I would say it doesn't matter if you're riding a motorcycle, a scooter, a helicopter, car. If you get into an interaction with a police officer just remember, they have all the cards. You're not going to win against a police officer.
Nope.
Thank goodness for, body cam and dash cam and video cameras. I mean, Ring doorbell cameras save people now. I mean, because they can capture all kinds of crazy stuff. So be respectful. I don't want to, speak too much, but I find that the local sheriffs are a little bit easier to deal with. The state troopers, not so much. So what you want to do is just, listen to what they're asking you to do, answer their questions up to a certain point. I had my own experience. I was with my kids. We went to a local tavern. I drank nothing but water, nothing. And there's this place on this particular road that I was on. It goes from like 45 to 35 to 25, and it's like 20 feet.
Right.
So, I mean, he must have got me like 45 in the 25, because it's like, I know that road, and I know when I was driving, and I remember thinking like, oh shit, I'm going a little bit too fast. Sure enough, state trooper pulls me over. That guy asked me no less than a dozen times if I'd been drinking. And I kept saying no. Finally, my daughter, who's very quiet, very docile, goes, he's told you 10 times now. Right. He has not been drinking. He drank water. And so he backed off. But point is, if I would have got upset, what's he going to do? He's going to pull me out of the car. He's then going to put me through field sobriety. He's probably going to breathalyze me, and he's probably going to tell I'm resisting at some point. And I just don't want to get into that. So what I always tell people is be cooperative, be respectful, understand they hold all the cards. If something later on you can fight it, that's where we come in. That's where lawyers come in.
Right.
Let us handle that, because we will go in and you sit down with the prosecutor and you sit down with the arresting officer and you go, you know that you escalated this thing.
Right.
And it puts you in a really good position. If my client has clean hands, and I used to do OWI defense and drug driving defense and marijuana, when the law was changing, it was only medicinal, and then people were using it recreationally, et cetera. I defended those cases, and I can tell you that if you as the client did nothing wrong, those charges are probably going to go away.
Right.
But if and you can always fight the stop anyway, because they're going to say, well, they hit the white line, or they hit the middle line, and that's why I pulled them over. And then you pull the dash cam video, that didn't happen. Mm-hmm. Now the whole thing's thrown out.
Right.
But if if you escalated it, and then there's an assault on top of it, now you got another charge.
Right.
So
right.
Rather than have 5 charges, get the one. Take your medicine and then call an attorney, and
it's pretty much been my experience that if you are 100% honest, upfront, truthful, don't play any games with them, 9 times out of 10, things are going to be okay.
Yeah.
And the one time it's not,
then you deal
with it.
You deal with it,
and you'll be in
get
good
an attorney. Yeah.
No, absolutely. I mean, police officers, they're people too. They make mistakes, but
there's good ones and bad ones.
Yeah, absolutely.
Most of them are great.
Right.
Most of them are great. Every once in a while, you run into somebody that is going to ask you a dozen times if you've been drinking. And I mean, what I could have said is, "What kind of training did you have?" But it's better just to say no, still no.
Yeah,
still
don't.
No.
Yeah, just play their game.
I could have just pulled the attorney card and said, asked and answered. Move on. Mm-hmm. Objection. But I got through it.
Nice. So this is one of our last ones here, but you answered a lot of this question already in previous statements. But what steps should a motorcycle rider take to protect their rights in the event of a motorcycle-related injury or lawsuit in our state here in Michigan?
Yeah, same thing. Get the police report, mm-hmm. Get an attorney. Preferably us, because this is what we do. That's really once you get an attorney, again, your job becomes get better.
Right.
Treat, get better, feel better, because I tell clients all the time, I'd rather have you get better and have a lower value case than not get better and rely upon an insurance money to pay you money.
Exactly. Right.
So, you want to get back to work, you want to get back to your family, you want to get back to riding, you want to get back to your social activities. You don't want to be laid up and hurt. So just get better. And, as far as protecting your rights, that's what we'll do. That's what we do. So we'll take care of that. That's why we earn our fee, is we protect you.
Right. Well, awesome.
Yeah. Very informative.
Yeah, very informative. Learned a lot. Like I said, I think my insurance policy is out on the table.
No, check it out for sure.
I'm shopping anyways because they raised my rates and I'm not very happy about it. But yeah. Jeremy, thanks for coming down.
Yeah.
Good guy. Go ahead and call Christensen Law and hit him with the number one more time.
248-900-9000. Ask for me.
Yeah. Ask for Jeremy. He'll get you started, help you out. Anything you want to add there, Big Yeti?
No, he did great. I had this was one I was really excited to kind of learn from, being an abate member and hearing some of the things that are going on within our state. Some of the things, aren't really, quite to the table yet to talk about, because no one really knows,
Right.
what's going on with certain things. We can all guess and go by, but just those statements that you made, I wrote a bunch of them down too, that I'm going to be checking my policy on the 250, 500, and make sure I have, the uninsured or undercoverage.
Yeah, that's what I'm
insurance.
curious about.
That's
Yeah.
a big deal. As a rider, I don't want to be up to somebody's $50,000 policy.
No, it's not gonna do much for you.
I'd rather pay
Right.
the extra money per month or per year and just make sure I'm covered. And every day.
Yeah, it's all cost benefit, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
if the insurance gets crazy, then you have to think, okay, well, maybe it's not worth it. But I think, based upon what I've seen, what I do for a living,
Mhm.
I'd get everything you can,
Yeah,
everything you
yeah.
can, because you're gonna need it if you need it.
Well, I got some good friends that were in accidents, and I know one right now who been 4 years and still has nothing out of it. So missed work, all this stuff, and he's financially destroyed at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Until this comes through. So, and when it does come through, he's not going to be any much better off than what he was. So,
Yeah.
just doing the right steps and getting a hold of an attorney, hopefully Christensen Law.
Definitely Christensen Law. I mean,
Get
who else
through.
would you want?
and get through them and have people like Jeremy get on top of it and work for you. That's the best thing about this.
Yeah,
Right.
we do that. We work for the client, and we like I said, I'm the nice guy. I'm the first guy you see. I'll play nice, and once we not play nice, we got lit team, attorneys that these guys hit $1 million verdicts, multi-million-dollar verdicts. They don't mess around, so
Right.
we'll take care of you.
Perfect.
Awesome. So there you go. Call Christensen Law and they'll help you out. Jeremy's the man. I guess that's all we got for today.
Yeah.
It's nice out
I know.
ish.
I hear my bike call my name.
Bike's going to be firing up here soon. Jeremy's in the market.
Yeah, I'm in the market.
Might have a bike.
call 248-900-9000. Sell me a bike. I'm ready.
I have a nice, beautiful Ultra Limited outside. You should sit out here.
You should take a look at it. Yeah. All right, bikers. Life is short. Get after it. Thanks for listening to the Mid-Michigan Biker Podcast. Have a good one, bikers. And remember, life is short, so get after it.